And then we also talk about communication and how we talk. I tell you what, let's turn to James chapter 2. And that's only the next chapter over from Hebrews, James chapter 2. And here we go. Tell the men what page is on in terms of communication. We want to touch that just a little bit.
1183.
And I'm going to read the men while you get in there. It says, in terms of James, James chapter 3, my fault. Chapter 3, verse 5. And here's what he talks about in terms of communication. It says, even so the tongue is a little member and boasts great things. Behold how great a matter a little fire kindled. And here's the point of what I want to say in terms of that. And I'll tell you what, let's turn to 1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 2 as well. 1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 2. Here it says, while they behold, okay, I like this. In terms of how we can learn something from our wives, we think that just because they're silent, well, maybe, you know, they're not aware or I want to say we associate silence with weakness, but silence can be golden. Are you following what I'm saying? Let's look at how women relate to trying to get that message across by being silent. Now we talk and we burn up a whole relationship. How many guys know you've said some stuff and you burnt up some major bridges because of you weren't willing to just hold your tongue? Are you following what I'm saying? But I'm going to show you how women exert their power and how they can get their point across equally, if not even with greater effectiveness, by the way that they conduct themselves. Not what they say. Check this out. 1 Peter chapter 2. No, 1 Peter chapter, is that chapter 2? I want to say, here, check this out. He's talking about women. 1 Peter chapter 3. Work with me, man. Are you there? Tell the other men what page it's on.
1188.
Now, you can read verse 1 if you want to, but I'm going to hit 2 real quick. Here's what it says. While they, your husbands, behold your chaste conversation coupled with fear. In other words, here, I'm going to go a little bit, I'm going to go a little bit further with verse 3. Whose adorning or beauty or radiance, let it not be that your outward adorning or plaiting of hair and of wearing of gold or putting on apparel, but let it be in the hidden man of the heart, in that which is not corruptible. Hey, check that out. Even the ornament of a meek and quiet what? Spirit. You can get more done. How many guys have heard this? You can get more done with honey than you can with, what's that, with vinegar. Are you following what I'm saying? In other words, your wife is being sweet. She ain't doing, remember we was talking about before, covering up the outside? She ain't got to do all that. She can get more with honey than you can with vinegar. Are you following what I'm saying? Her chaste behavior. And some of the time we don't have to exert ourselves being boisterous, being belligerent. Are you following what I'm saying? Being just totally inconsiderate. Are you following what I'm saying? It says a meek spirit can get even more, just as much, if not, can actually get more done. And here's the other point that I want to say. He says if that changes on the inside, instead of you trying to force somebody to do something on the outside, he says that change on the inside is not corruptible. But you can say some stuff and it'll corrupt, it'll ruin everything that you built up on the outside. Are you following what I'm saying, man? So communication is so important.
The wife is a good point. You know why?
Come on,
sometimes your wife is not staying in your road. The spirit for your wife is not same spirit where you have sometimes. I say sometimes.
Okay.
You know what you need to do? Put in the list. Go to your spirit. Ask him, God, give you the support. Put the wife in the same thing way where you have now with your spirit.
Okay.
Confess you have a new creature and you want to go roll together.
Right.
If you don't want to go together, you need to keep it out.
Right. And the beautiful thing about it, I'm not trying to make this a man or woman thing, but women tend to plan ahead. When they do things with the intention of obtaining an outcome that's going to be beneficial down the road, we just do stuff generally just to win an immediate victory. One guy told me some time ago, and I want to finish with this chapter 4. But here's what he says. He says we can win the battle and lose the war. How many guys understand that? I mean, do you want to win the war? Remember we said the race that was before us? Let's lay aside some stuff. Well, that vile and wicked, disrespectful conversation is one of the things that we're going to have to lay aside. Because women think about in terms of winning the war. Men just want a temporary battle victory. And that too shall, as we used to say, that too shall pass. So let's move along a little further. Preparing for step number 4. One of the issues that we talk about is denial again. And a lot of times denial has protected us. And here's one of the issues that I really want to talk about is prayer. Prayer is so powerful in terms of having done step 1, 2, 3, and now we're at 4, where we're really in position to really start to make a meaningful difference, to start to begin to put ourselves in a position to benefit from our experiences. One of the things we want to do is we want to pray about that, because now we're entering into a relationship and we're dependent on a power that we're returning to. Let's return to God. And let's test ourselves and re-examine ourselves and return to God. Here's what I want to say. Whatever it is that you want, prayer is so powerful, because here's what prayer is. Prayer is actually you saying something that's actually on your heart. Here's one of the things I want to say. Most of us men here can say that now or at a time, a previous moment in the past, or even now, there are some things on your heart that you actually feel that are seriously need to be addressed that before you pretty much overlooked. It really didn't bother you. I want to say this. God has put it on your heart to recognize that there's a need, a physical need or a need that needs to be met. And he's actually put it on your heart to speak it, to think it, and to recognize that you can't do it, but he can. So what I say that to say this. Prayer is so powerful because God has put it on your heart. Now when you speak it, all that's necessary for you to do is to believe that you believe what is on your heart and what you're saying. And so now once you say it and you believe it, the only element that's left is to receive it. If you speak it, you believe it, only thing left for you to do is to actually start to change your conduct, your behavior, and start walking as if you're positioning yourself to receive what it is that you're praying about. Are you following what I'm saying? Yes. If somebody told you that you hit the lottery for, let's say $10,000, you're going to start living your life like you got $10,000. Are you following what I'm saying? And so what I'm saying is, when you start praying, prayer is so powerful. You have to believe what it is that you're praying, and you start living like what it is that you're praying. And it says without faith it's impossible to please God. So with that faith comes a change in behavior, a change in attitude, a change in conduct. Are you following what I'm saying? Yeah. Things start to change. And again, as I said, when you start to change, things around you start to change. Are you following what I'm saying? Like my brother back there, when you start to laugh, your guy next to you start to laugh. Are you following what I'm saying? When you got reason to feel good, the whole house feel good. But when the man come in the house feeling all grumpy, mess up the whole house, man. Everybody grumpy, man. You know, so here we go in terms of prayer. So prayer is so important. And now we go over to page 61. And in terms of step number 4, we talk about step being a growth step. Step 4 being the growth step. And we say it's an experience of an adventure of self-discovery. And that self-discovery continues from step 4 to step 7. And what we do is, in terms of this self-discovery, we're asking God to remove our shortcomings, and we're being totally honest in terms of that self-discovery in every area of our lives. In terms of the second paragraph on page 61, it talks about step 4, getting in touch with. Now here's a term that I really wasn't familiar with, but there's the shadow side of us. And how many guys here know that we got a shady side? Yeah. I mean, you know what? We let them see what we want them to see. But behind, on the real side, there's a shady, shadowy side. And we become good in dealing with it and manipulating and using that side for less than honest reasons to gain a dishonest advantage. And so that's why we talk about the shadow side is so important in terms of step number 4. When we said made a fearless moral inventory. That's moral, man. You don't want to be shady, shadowy, but we do it. Do we not do it? And we depend on it. We call that, what do we call that? Skills. I got skills. Yeah.
Street
skills. Street skills, you know. Yeah, right. But let's go into that. So we talk about the shadow side. And you know what? It's the side. It's real. That's that other side of us that's real. And what does it hide? Check this out in the middle of page 61. It deals with which part of our nature that hides resentment, fears, and repressed feelings. Are you following what I'm saying? In other words, that shadowy side is the side that allows us to say, you know what? I'm going to get even when the opportunity presents itself. Are you following what I'm saying? Oh, you might think it's over with, but it ain't over until I say it's over. Are you following what I'm saying?
Payback.
Yeah, you know, you just jump right in there on it. It just continues like the Obama. It just continues to collect like a snow going downhill. Are you following what I'm saying? So we need to recognize that other side of us as well. And then what he says is, even if we deal with that, some of those survival skills and behaviors that we had adopted in our childhood, he says if we continue, and rightfully so, because there were probably some things going on in our life that was pretty, I want to say, destructive to us or shocking to us when we were kids, and we learned how to not to allow it to get up under our skin. So we developed the shadowy side. Are you following what I'm saying? To get through some of those experiences and childhood experiences that were pretty traumatic is the word I want to say, traumatic to us. And what we start using those skills as we get adults too. But if you use those same shadowy skills and talents that you used when you were a kid, if you use them when you're an adult, it's called being dysfunctional. Are you following what I'm saying? You've got to handle life on life's terms. You can no longer expect to use those angles and those shadowy, shady skills and not for it to cause you some serious major problems down the road. And one of them we call is being dysfunctional. Here, let's look at this, man. Work with me on the last paragraph. Again, we talked about relying on these skills. One of them is denial. What it does is it stunts your emotional growth, and it protects us from feelings, and helps us to repress what we want to say is our pain that we received in those family situations. So here's what I want to say. Resentment is a major issue that we're going to have to overcome, man. If you want to, and I like to say this one, just get with me on this. If you want to come up, get up, stay up, and be up. If you really want to make a major come up, you're going to have to deal with that resentment issue. Are you following what I'm saying? You can no longer just let it kick it to the side. Let's turn to page 62, man. He says, here's one of the results of resentments. It hides bitter hurts, some real serious hurts that you've never really addressed. And they're just, I want to say that they're as fragile as a little scab. It don't take much for it to get up under your skin, for it to reveal itself. Are you following what I'm saying? For it to injure you. And so what we talk about, we have resentments towards people, places, and things. And if you don't deal with that resentment, I want you to look at your books, man. Open up your book. I need you to open it up on page 62. This is important. If you don't open it up, you man got books back there? No. I need you, man, to get a book. Because I want you to see this. I want you to actually see this, how deep and how serious that resentment issue is. Let's turn to page 62. And if we've never examined those issues before, now it's very important in this terms in this time of really making a thorough examination of where we come from, where we at, and how we want to get to where we're going in terms of benefiting and being rewarded from honestly examining our past. It's important that we examine these issues now. Let's look